Welcome! Today we're diving into two profoundly different ways of seeing the universe, one from an 11th century Persian philosopher, and the other from the core teachings of Buddhism. Okay, let's get into it.
So here's our game plan. We'll start by building a universe of perfect logical order. Then we'll introduce a world that's all about constant change. We'll see where they really clash, especially on the idea of the soul, and then explore what each system says about the true nature of reality. Finally, we'll bring it all together.
All right, let's kick things off with the 11th century Persian thinker Nasir Khusraw. He gives us this vision of the universe that's structured like a grand, elegant blueprint.
You know, Khusraw's entire philosophy really starts with this one huge question. And his answer, well, it's this incredibly beautiful, organized hierarchy.
So, Khusraw saw all of existence in these three distinct tiers. At the very top, you have the world above time. This is the realm of pure intellect and soul. It's eternal, it was never created, and it can't ever decay. It's the perfect source code. Then, one level down, you've got the world with time. This is the cosmos, the stars and planets. It was created, but it doesn't decay. And then there's us, down here in the world under time. This is our physical, material world. It was created, and as we all know, it's totally subject to decay and corruption. It's a really clear top-down structure for everything.
Now, at the very heart of this system is what he calls the nafs, or the soul. Think of your soul as a kind of traveler on an epic journey. It comes down from that divine world of pure intellect, enters our material world, and its whole purpose, its whole reason for being here, is to gain knowledge and wisdom so it can make its way back home, back to its divine origin. It's a beautiful story of exile and return.
Okay, so now let's completely flip the script and look at how the Buddhist worldview paints a totally different picture. Instead of starting with some grand cosmic order, Buddhism starts with a very basic, very human experience. And this is where it gets radical. The Buddhist worldview doesn't need a top-down creator or a grand blueprint. Instead, it sees reality as this massive, intricate web of interconnected causes and effects.
The starting point here is dukkha, which usually gets translated as suffering. The Buddha famously said, birth is suffering, aging is suffering, death is suffering. But this isn't meant to be pessimistic, not at all. It's more like a doctor making a clear diagnosis of the human condition. It's pointing to that low-level harm of anxiety and dissatisfaction we all feel because everything is always changing, and we're always wanting things to be different.
So, if dukkha is the diagnosis, what's the cause? Well, in this view, it's not some ancient fall from a perfect realm. It's a process called dependent origination. This is the idea that everything exists only because of the conditions that came right before it. This moment is born from the last one, and it gives birth to the next, just like a flowing river. And our constant grasping at things that are always changing, well, that's the engine that drives all our dissatisfaction.
And this huge difference in how reality is even put together, well, it leads us straight to the most dramatic clash between these two worldviews, and it centers on the very nature of you. This is it. This is the main event. On one side, you have Khusraw's idea of an eternal, unchanging soul, a core essence of who you are, and on the other, you have the Buddhist doctrine of anatta, or not self. This really radical idea that the permanent solid you that you feel like you have is actually an illusion. So if there's no permanent self, then what on earth are we? Buddhism explains this with something called the 5 aggregates. The argument is that what you call you is really just these 5 processes coming together for a little while. Think of it like a car. A car is just a bunch of parts working together. There's no permanent carness floating around. It's the same with the self. There's no CEO sitting in a command chair in your head. There's just this constant stream of your body, your feelings, your perceptions, your thoughts, and your awareness, all flowing together. So this deep disagreement over the self, it actually points to an even more fundamental difference about what reality itself is actually made of. This famous line from the Heart Sutra, it probably contains one of the most profound and honestly one of the most misunderstood ideas in all of philosophy. Emptiness, or Shunyata, does not mean that nothing exists. Not at all. It means that nothing exists on its own. Think about a flower. A flower is empty of a separate, independent self because it's made entirely of things that are not the flower. Sunlight, water, soil, air. The flower is just the universe coming together in a particular way for a moment. This idea brilliantly shows that web of interdependence. Everything is connected. Nothing stands alone.
So, as you can probably guess, the ultimate goals of these two paths are just worlds apart.
For Khusro, the goal is a return to a state of perfect, unchanging being. The soul finally completes its long journey and goes home. But for Buddhism, the goal is nirvana. That's liberation from the whole cycle of suffering. And you get there by gaining this profound insight into how things really are. It's not about going somewhere else, it's about waking up, right here, right now.
Okay, let's bring all this together. What we're looking at here aren't just two ancient philosophies. They really represent a fundamental fork in the road in how humanity has tried to make sense of everything.
So here's a kind of cheat sheet for our two blueprints for reality. Khosrow's philosophy is like a grand architect's plan. It's a story of stability, of hierarchy, and of a great homecoming. The Buddhist worldview, on the other hand, is more like a river that's always flowing. It's a story of dynamism, of interdependence, and of awakening. Hey everyone, if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe. Drop a comment below, I'd love to hear what you think. Your support really means a lot and helps me keep creating content for you all. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
And what's really fascinating is that this whole debate isn't just an Eastern thing. We see the exact same tension in Western philosophy. Khusro's ideas about a higher, perfect, stable reality, that sounds a lot like Plato's realm of forms. And the Buddhist idea of the self being just a bundle of processes, the 18th century Scottish philosopher David Hume said almost the exact same thing.
So ultimately, these two philosophies are like two powerful lenses we can use to look at our own lives. And they ask us this really fundamental question. Are you a single, solid thing, a soul on a journey through the universe? Or are you a dynamic process, completely inseparable from the river of the universe as it unfolds moment by moment? Which one of those feels truer to your own experience?